Hello, we are Jihwan Park and Sooyeon from Advanced Robot Laboratory of LG Electronics, located in South Korea. We took part in Challenge 2 of DCASE 2020 and also in the workshop session. We would like to present our work, Anomalous Sound Detection using relevant spectral features and focusing techniques in the unsupervised learning scenario. The contents of our presentation are as follows. First, we will briefly introduce Task 2 of DCASE Challenge 2020, then describe the ASD system we propose. After that, we will explain the experiment process and the results, then finish with our conclusions. Let's briefly go through the ASD problem in Task 2 of DCASE Challenge 2020. What is anomalous sound detection? An anomalous sound indicates the sound of malfunction or failure of machines, which can also indicate the occurrence of unusual situations. Like in the graphs above, for example, anomalous signals show unusual patterns in the time domain. Effective detection of machine anomaly will lead to the decrease of number of defective products and prevent further propagation of machine damage. There can be two definitions of anomalies in this task. In the supervised learning scenario, you detect defined anomalous sound. On the other hand, in the unsupervised learning scenario, you detect unknown anomalous sound, which hasn't been observed. ASD in the unsupervised learning scenario is more difficult because anomalous sounds rarely occur compared to normal sounds and comes in a wide variety of forms. Also, since sounds that are supposed to be normal are usually recorded in noisy or reverberant conditions, even normal sound data can include bits of noisy patterns. Another problem is that the exact period of the occurrence or existence of normal sound is not provided, so we might need a strategy that focuses on only the target normal sound source. Previous studies suggested various methods to overcome these difficulties. Deep neural network-based autoencoder is one of the most common approaches, also used as the baseline of Task 2. And another common approach is to optimize the combination of acoustic features used for the neural networks. There are also outlier sampling methods, which samples anomalous sounds in the latent space to increase the difference of hypothesis test results between normal and anomalous sounds. A recent study suggested interpolating only the center frame of the feature instead of reconstructing all input frames by training a neural network. The name of this network is interpolation DNN. The goal of Task 2 is to detect unknown anomalous sounds, provided only normal sound samples as training data. The dataset consists of development and evaluation data, and only the development set was used for training. Each machine sound sample was recorded while pre-recorded factory noise was playing in the background. The baseline model of Task 2 is a simple autoencoder-based anomaly score calculator. Under the assumption that the autoencoder cannot reconstruct unseen anomalous sounds, the goal of model training is to minimize the reconstruction error of the observed sound feature, which consists of 128-dimension log-mel energies. The reconstructed feature vector is the output of the decoder, which takes the output of the encoder as input. The final anomaly score can be calculated as the error between the original input feature and reconstructed feature. The evaluation metrics of Task 2 are AUC and partial AUC, which increase when anomaly scores decrease. The baseline evaluation results are as follows. One of the main difficulties of this task is that some machines, for example valves, have non-stationary, impulsive, and sparse characteristics in terms of sound. Therefore, in order to improve the performance of anomalous sound detection, we need a strategy that can also cover non-stationary machine sounds. Next, we would like to explain about the ASD system that we propose. The autoencoder model is trained to reconstruct the input feature as similarly as possible. But as shown in the figure, significant pattern losses occur when only log-mel energies are used. So we used 124-dimension spectrograms as input features in order to preserve the patterns more. If this was a supervised learning task, it would be possible to know whether machine sounds exist in a specific period. But since we are solving an unsupervised learning task, we assume that the machine sound periods have greater energy than the noise periods, like we can see in the figure above, for example. Based on this assumption, to further reduce the reconstruction error for normal machine sound periods, we suggested focusing techniques. Focus backpropagation refers to the method that selects only a certain percentage of the error values in each batch of the training process, so that only these focused errors are used for backpropagation. These figures show the effects of training the model of focused backpropagation. Figures on the left side are results of normal samples, and on the right are anomaly samples. Figures in the first row are spectrograms, and in the second row are spectrogram errors between the original and the reconstructed, and in the last row are the reconstruction errors. As shown, using focused backpropagation in the training phase has the effect of increasing the deviation of reconstructed errors in periods where actual machine sounds occur. Focus hypothesis test is another focusing technique we propose. When deciding the status of the machine sound in the evaluation phase, all frames are used for averaging the reconstruction error. Instead, we tried machine adaptive focus hypothesis tests, which only focus on the reconstruction errors of periods that are likely to have actual machine sounds. So before evaluation, we sort the reconstruction error of frames in ascending order and reject the outliers that fall outside of the thresholds. Then we use only these focus errors for evaluation. This proposed method was effective for machine types of slider and valve. And this is the full illustration of the proposed ASD system. First, spectrogram of frame size 1024 with half overlap is extracted and used as model input. In the training phase, focus backpropagation is applied. When model training is done, focused hypothesis test is applied machine-wisely. The final evaluation is done with only the error values of the focused range. Now we will explain the experiment process and share our results. For both training and evaluation, we used the default dataset that was given for Task 2 of the DCASE 2020 challenge. Sampling frequency of all data is 16 kHz, and spectrogram of 1024.FFT was used as the feature vector. Atom optimizer was used for optimization with a learning rate of 0.001. The network structure of the autoencoder was as the table in the bottom. The network is similar to the baseline, but with different input and output feature dimensions. Performance of the proposed methods were evaluated and compared across different models and features. As shown in the table, anomalous sound detection using interpolation DNN showed better overall performance compared to the baseline, and using spectrogram features significantly improved performances of slider and valve for both baseline and interpolation DNN models. And the following table shows the evaluation results of the baseline model compared across focus backpropagation and focus hypothesis tests. Baseline model with default log-mel energy showed best performance improvements when focus backpropagation and focus hypothesis tests were used. And the baseline model with spectrogram showed best performance improvements when only focus hypothesis test was used. Next are the evaluation results of the interpolation DNN model, compared across two suggested methods. For the interpolation DNN model in overall, using focus hypothesis tests were more effective than using both methods. And finally, we will wrap up with our work with conclusions. Through this work, we propose focusing techniques, focus backpropagation, and focus hypothesis tests. Experiments showed that spectrogram features and focusing techniques led to performance improvements for baseline autoencoder and interpolation DNN models. Therefore, we could conclude that focusing techniques are effective in improving the detection performance of anomalous machine sounds in unsupervised learning scenarios. Thank you.